It was strange, having the house so quiet. Mom had only been gone a day, but already everything felt off. She usually filled the air with her energy morning reminders, rushed footsteps, humming while making tea. Without her, the silence crept. And like fog. I wasn't used to being alone with Dad, not really. We lived under the same roof, but we were like polite strangers most of the time, cordial, respectful, distant. Dad wasn't cold, just closed off. He worked long hours, fixed things around the house, and paid the bills. A reliable presence. But beyond that, I barely knew him. Conversations were brief. How's school? Fine. Want anything from the store? No, thanks. That was the rhythm we'd always followed Dot, so when he offered to cook dinner that night, I wasn't sure what to expect. He stood awkwardly in the kitchen, Googling recipes on his phone, burning rice, undercooking chicken. I watched from the stool, amused. And for the first time, I saw him not as the distant figure I'd always known, but as a man trying. We ate on the couch. No TV on, just the quiet sound of utensils against mismatched plates. Then, without warning, he started talking. You know, he said, staring at his plate, before your mom, there was someone else. I looked up. Someone else. He nodded. My childhood best friend. Her name was Anna. I was caught off guard. My dad had never mentioned another woman, let alone a love interest. He wasn't the kind of man who reminisced or told stories. We used to ride our bikes around town, play at the lake. We promised we'd grow old together. He smiled faintly, but it faded quickly. But I never told her how I felt. I was scared. And one day she left, just moved away. I didn't even get to say goodbye. I didn't know what to say. It wasn't the story itself that stunned me, it was the tone. He sounded vulnerable, like someone peeling away layers they'd worn for decades. What happened to her? I asked softly. She got married. Had kids. I saw her once, years later. We talked. She said she always wondered why I never said anything, and I told her I didn't know how. The room felt still, like time had paused to listen. He looked at me then and said, I've spent years learning that love isn't always loud. Sometimes it's what you say when no one's listening. That night stayed with me. The way he said it, the sadness in his voice. I went to bed thinking about all the things people never say until it's too late. The next morning, he knocked on my door and asked if I wanted to go for a walk. I almost said no. But something about yesterday made me curious. We walked around the neighborhood. He pointed out houses he'd helped build back in the day, trees he used to climb. We passed a bench where he once sat after a job interview, sweaty and nervous, waiting for Mom to call with good news. She believed in me before I believed in myself, he said. She was the first person who ever made me feel like I mattered. I glanced at him. There was a lightness in his face that hadn't been there before, and slowly something shifted between us. We weren't just father and daughter anymore. We were two people learning each other again. That night, we talked again. About high school, about his favorite books. He told me he used to draw comics as a teenager. I was stunned. I'd never seen him hold a pencil unless it was to balance a budget. He went to the garage and pulled out an old box, dusty and weathered. Inside were sketches, dragons, superheroes, scenes from his imagination. I stared at them, impressed. Why'd you stop? Life got busy, got married. Had you worked 2 jobs? Drawing didn't feel necessary anymore. Do you miss it? Every day, he said, but I didn't think anyone cared. I care. He looked at me, and in that moment, I realized something powerful. Our parents are entire people before they become our parents. They have dreams, wounds, fears. We just forget to ask that the next few days passed with more walks, more conversations. He made pancakes one morning burn again, but we laughed it off. I helped him organize the garage, and we found an old guitar. I never knew he played. He strummed a few chords, rusty but recognizable. I wrote a song for your mom once. Play it. He paused, then nodded. As he played, the lyrics came slowly, his voice soft. The song wasn't perfect, but it was real. And I listened, my heart quietly breaking in the best way. Afterward, I asked, "Why don't you show this side more often?" He shrugged. I thought being a father meant being strong, not emotional. Being strong is letting people see you. He stared at the guitar in his lap, then at me. I wish I'd heard that sooner. Later that night, he handed me an envelope. It was worn, the paper thin and yellowed with age. I wrote this the night you were born, in case something happened to me. I hesitated, then opened it. His handwriting filled the page, shaky but full of emotion. Asterisk, dear Emma. Asterisk, asterisk. If you're reading this, it means I didn't make it. But I want you to know something. You changed my life before you ever opened your eyes. I didn't know how to be a father. I was terrified. But the moment I saw you, I understood what love was. Asterisk, asterisk. Don't be afraid to feel too much. Don't be ashamed to cry. And never let the world harden your heart. You're going to be brilliant, kind, and strong, even if I'm not there to see. And I believe in you. Asterisk, asterisk, love, Dad, asterisk. My eyes blurred. I held the letter close and whispered, "You're here. I see you now." He hugged me, and it wasn't the kind of hug you give because it's expected. It was the kind that heals something silent and broken. We sat there, no words needed. Just the quiet comfort of presence. That night, I journaled everything. His words, his stories, the look on his face when he strummed that guitar. I didn't want to forget, ever. I used to think love stories were all about grand gestures and confessions. But I was learning that sometimes love looks like burnt pancakes, old letters, and guitar chords played with trembling fingers. Sometimes love grows where silence used to live. Before we went to bed, I said, "Thanks for letting me see this side of you." He smiled, eyes soft. "Thanks for staying long enough to look." As I turned off the light, I realized something even deeper. This week wasn't just about getting closer to my dad. It was about growing into someone who could listen, forgive, and love without needing everything to be perfect. Love doesn't always arrive wrapped in romance. Sometimes it's a quiet rediscovery, and sometimes it starts with a sentence that shakes your world. And for me, that sentence was, asterisk, I've spent years learning that love isn't always loud. The house felt warmer now, not because of the weather, but because something inside us had changed. For the first time in years, the silence wasn't uncomfortable. It was peaceful, natural. After everything we'd shared, Dad and I no longer needed to fill every moment with small talk. Just being in the same room felt different, like we finally understood each other beyond roles, beyond parent and child. Mom texted that she'd be delayed another 3 days. Normally, that would have set me into quiet panic. But instead I replied, asterisk, it's okay. We're doing good here. Asterisk, that evening, Dad found me working on my college essay and offered to help. He read through it carefully, paused often, then looked up and said, "You write like someone who's been carrying a lot. You can put some of it down now." I asked him what he meant, and he leaned back in his chair. "You've always looked like you were holding your breath around us. Like you were afraid one wrong word would knock the balance over." He wasn't wrong. I had lived cautiously, always measuring my actions, trying not to cause stress or invite attention. I thought I had to be the easy one, the quiet one, the problem-free daughter. But that came at a cost. Years of unspoken thoughts and suppressed feelings. I thought if I stayed invisible, things would stay peaceful. He nodded, eyes thoughtful. I used to think being quiet made me safe too, but it only made me disappear. It hit me hard. All this time, I assumed he was distant because he didn't care. That maybe he was just scared too. Scared of saying the wrong thing. Scared of not knowing how to connect. We had been mirrors of each other without even knowing. I've had anxiety for years. I admitted, surprising even myself with how easily it came out. I just never told anyone. I thought you'd both be disappointed. He didn't flinch. No pity, no panic. Just calm, unwavering presence. Thank you for telling me. And I'm sorry you carried that alone. It felt like something inside me exhaled. We kept talking. I told him about the pressure I felt to live up to expectations. About how sometimes I stayed up crying at night, wondering if I was doing enough. Big enough, he listened. No interruptions, no advice I didn't ask for, just listening. That alone was enough. I used to think emotions made me weak, he confessed, but they make us human. And the truth is, I wish I had learned that sooner so I could have taught it to you earlier. We spent the next few days in this rhythm, honest conversations, small shared moments. He even started drawing again. I caught him one morning, hunched over the kitchen table, sketching quietly. When he noticed me watching, he chuckled. I forgot how good this feels. Looks like you never lost it. He showed me his sketch, a simple portrait of Mom from memory. Her eyes were soft, her smile just right. You could see the love in every line. I watched him sign his name in the corner, like an artist reclaiming his identity. When Mom finally returned, she was tired but smiling. She looked around, noticing the changes instantly. My room was cleaner. The dishes were done. The air felt lighter. At dinner, she raised an eyebrow. Did I miss something? Dad smiled. Just some overdue father-daughter time. I caught her up on everything, our talks, his drawings, the letters, even the song. She blinked slowly, as if seeing us both for the first time in a new light. Later that night, she pulled me aside. You know, you've always been so much like him, quiet, thoughtful. I just never realized you both needed the same thing, each other. Her words stayed with me. The next few weeks became a new chapter for us. We started having family nights, board games, cooking challenges, movie marathons where Dad tried not to fall asleep and failed every time. It wasn't perfect. We still had our moments of silence and miscommunication, but we were trying. One afternoon, Dad gave me another letter, this time freshly written. He didn't say anything as he handed it over, just nodded once and walked away. I opened it carefully. Asterisk, Emma, asterisk, asterisk. When your mom was away, I said something that shocked you. I told you I had regrets, but you helped me start letting go of them. This week changed me. You showed me that love isn't about getting it right all the time. It's about showing up, staying present, and being honest even when it's hard. Asterisk, asterisk, I want you to know how proud I am of you. Not for the grades or awards, but for who you are when no one's watching. The quiet strength, the empathy, the courage to speak truth after years of silence. That's the kind of love this world needs more of. And that's the kind of person I see when I look at you. Love, asterisk. I folded the letter and placed it inside the first one he had written years ago. Two versions of him then, and now speaking across time. I decided to write back, not on paper, but in my journal. I wrote a letter I knew I'd one day read out loud at his retirement, or maybe just to myself when life got hard. Asterisk, dear Dad, asterisk, asterisk, you've always been there, even in the silence. Even when I thought I was alone, I know now that you were trying in your own way. I'm sorry I didn't see you sooner, but I'm grateful I finally did. Love is complicated, but it's also patient. And it waits for moments like these moments when we drop our defenses and speak from the heart. Thank you for being brave enough to begin. You taught me what love really looks like. Asterisk, asterisk. Not loud, Not perfect, just real. Asterisk months passed, but the bond we'd built never faded. In fact, it grew stronger. I started talking to him about things I never thought I'd share relationships, self-doubt, hopes I barely admitted to myself, and he listened. With the same steady presence he always had, but now with open eyes and an open heart. And the funny thing was, my anxiety began to lessen. Not because life got easier, but because I didn't feel like I had to face it all alone. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sky melt into soft oranges and pinks, he said, love really is a surprise. What do you mean? I always thought it had to look like the movies. But it's this right here, this peace, this understanding, this connection. I nodded, the wind brushing past us like a quiet witness. He continued, I used to think I had to earn love by being perfect. Turns out I just had to be honest. The sun dipped lower, and I thought about how different our relationship was. Now, not flashy, not dramatic. Just genuine. People often chase love in the wrong places, searching for approval, attention, excitement. But what we built was different. It wasn't born from romance, but from revelation. We unlearned silence and chose vulnerability. And in doing that, we found each other. That summer, I took a photo of Dad holding one of his drawings. I captioned it asterisk, still creating, still learning, still growing. It went viral, not because he was famous, but because the story behind it resonated. So many people wrote things like, this made me call my dad, or asterisk, I didn't know I needed this. That's when I knew our story had meaning far beyond just us. If I had to sum up everything this experience taught me, it would be this. Love isn't always about who you fall for. It's about who you choose to understand, forgive, and grow. With love in its truest form is healing. And sometimes it starts with a sentence that changes everything. When Mom was away, Dad said something that shocked me. I couldn't resist listening because in that moment, I heard not just my father, but a man trying to reach me across years of silence, and I reached back.